have a look at how we can render our toys to produce nice images of them. I'm just going to go through a very simple and basic rendering process here. We can come back to it a little bit later in the course, but for the time being this will be fine. Now the first thing you need to do is to position your toy to render, so just move it around and get it into the position that you want it to be in. And then to perform the render operation, you either hold the Shift key down and type Q, or you can click the rendering menu and click render. And that will go through the process of rendering our toy as an image like that. And that's fine, but I think it can be improved a little bit without doing a lot of complicated things. For starters, that black background doesn't look particularly great, so let's do something about that. I'll close out of there. Now if we go back to the rendering menu and click rendering, you'll notice that there is an item in there called environment. Now that allows us to do a few things in the rendering environment to make the image a little bit prettier. In particular, we can work with the background. Now if I click on that, you'll notice that right at the top there's a panel entitled background, and there's a color which at the moment is set to the default color, which is black. If I just click on color, I can select a different color to put into the render background. So I might, for instance, want to select that blue color, and it's done by the usual sort of process of just clicking on a particular area in the color area here and selecting that particular color. So I'll just make that a little bit lighter blue because I think that'll look nice. Okay, and then click OK, and that actually makes the color that nice blue color. Now you'll see if I scroll down, and these scroll bars are very small, remember, I can see a render preview. Now if I click there, it'll give me a little bit of an idea of what I'm getting when I do my render. So I'll click preview, and that gives me an idea of what I'm getting. It's only a little thumbnail, but it does help. Okay, that looks a lot better. So let's close out of there and then go into rendering and render, and now it will render the lion but with a nice light blue background, which immediately looks a lot better. Now it's quite likely that we might actually want to put an image in the background there to make it look even more interesting. So let's do that. Now to do that we need to get into the material editor, and you'll find the material editor in your top toolbar. If I hover over it, you'll see there material editor there, and that's what we want. So I'll click on there, and the first time it opens, it will probably open in what's called the slate material editor, which is not the one we want. I'll just try that again and see if I can get that to open for us. That's better. Okay, so that's the slate material editor. Now that's a little bit complicated at this stage and not necessary. So we will change the mode. So go to the mode menu, click on mode, and change that to the compact material editor. And that will give us this. And you can see there's some of the materials already which I've applied to surfaces in my line. Now the compact material editor gives you a whole series of these materials, and you can see them at the top there. Each of those spheres represents a sample of a particular material. Now what I want to do here is to go in and select an unused material, which is probably not going to be difficult at this stage for you guys, but just click there, and I'll start a new one here. So if I click there, you'll see that it opens up looking like this. Now what I want to do is to use an image for my material. So if I go down here, and you'll see right at the bottom of the material editor panel there's a thing called maps. So if I click on maps, it will open up this little panel which allows me to apply a lot of what's called maps to my materials. Now what I'll do is I'll just select the diffuse color map, and it says none there at the moment, so I'll click on none, and that gives me the option of adding a diffuse color background, which I'm actually going to make as an image. So in what opens up there, what I want you to do is to select bitmap and then OK, and it'll open up a browser window here which allows me to find a whole bunch of images. They don't have to be bitmap images, but different things. Now I've got one ready to go on my desktop, so I'll just go there, and we'll just use this jungle background for the line. So I'll click on that, and you'll see that's a JPEG file, and click open, and it will now give me that map. And you can see in there, you can see a bit of that jungle picture appearing there in that material. Now there are a couple of things I need to change here to make this work as a background. First of all, I need to click where it says texture and environment in the coordinates panel. I need to click the radio button next to environment, and then I just need to make sure that screen is selected. Once that's all been done, that will save that, and I can go out of there. Okay. Now, okay, that's got that all set up. We're just setting things up at the moment. Let's have a look now back at my render environment and click there. Now, you'll see nothing much has changed from before, but at the top where it says background, there is an opportunity here to put in an environment map. Now, we've created a map in our material editor, so let's use that. So I'll click on none, and then if I scroll down, you will see under scene materials and sample slots, you will see the map that I put in there. Okay, so click on that under sample slots, and then OK. And then it'll ask you if you want an instance or a copy. That doesn't really matter at this stage. So we'll leave that on instance and click OK. And you'll notice that use map is now clicked. So that's got that organized, and you'll see that I now have a slightly different preview there with the lion. We're standing in a little track there in the background. So let's close out of there, and I'll just move my line down slightly because looking at the preview, it looks as if it might look a bit better if it was a bit lower. And then I will do my rendering, and it will re-render the image of my lion standing in his jungle place. Okay, so that's cool. Now I could just take a snap of that. If I want to save that rendered image, this is what I need to do. Well, I can click on Save Image there, and that will save it, and that might be the best way to do it at this stage. So I'll click Save Image, I'll call him Lion, and I'll just save him on my desktop because I'm lazy. I'll set the format to be a JPEG file, which is a good default format to use, and click Save, and then OK, and that should save that there. So let's go and have a look at that, and you'll see Lion there. Open that up, and it will come up probably in Photoshop, which might take a minute, so sorry, it's a bit annoying. But you'll see that I've got my image saved now, and I can now do what I want to in terms of incorporating it into my report. Incoming, here we go. My poor laptops are not terribly good at this sort of thing. Okay, waiting, and there we go. There's our lion image appearing on the screen now. Okay, sorry about the delay, but that's cool. Okay, there we go. So that's how we do our rendering of our images, and you can have a little practice at rendering the model that you've produced. Now, it won't look quite like mine because we've got a little bit of work left to do on it, but at least you'll get to see what it looks like in 3D.